Greetings and welcome to Budapest, Hungary for preseason testing for Trinity Competitive Racing TCR Season 10 Golden Class. It's bright and sunny here at the Hungaroring, 14 fast technical corners on what is considered one of the more challenging tracks on the F1 calendar. The twisty and bumpy nature of the circuit makes overtaking very difficult in dry conditions, the circuit nicknamed Monaco without the buildings for this very reason. Nonetheless, the Hungaroring has been the scene of several memorable races. In the past, we've seen many drivers take the win for Golden Class. Season 6 saw ZXCFB took the win, but in Season 8, it was Swarner's turn for the top step on the podium. But today in preseason testing, it's time to engage party mode, wipe off the dust, and show their pace. The past few weeks, drivers have had a chance to get acclimated to the new handling model, the tire model, and the highly political overtake button. That is sure to be a talking point today and how drivers plan to use it during the race. But who has taken advantage of this and put into practice? Will Bam Bam or Segrist come out of the gate flying? Will same TJ have a better test after struggling in the silver race last night? Or maybe Arrow has some potential to show he was looking very strong in the last half of last season. Or maybe McLaren P1 has something to prove tonight. That is all to come. Good evening, I'm 007 Professional, and I'm here today with Joe Breezy, Season 9's TCR Platinum Champion. Joe, it's really good to be back, and here we are already in F1 2020. It just seemed like yesterday you were crossing the line in Mexico P1 and snatching that Platinum Championship for McLaren. How you doing, and what are you looking forward to today in preseason tests?
I'm doing great. Yeah, it's definitely a good thing to be back. It's been a decent break from our previous racing season, so I'm very much looking forward to seeing the pace of the current testing Golden Class, just to see how people have made improvements, how they're getting on with the current tire mechanics, just the new physics of the game. This highly anticipated overtake button as well will play a big part in their current lap times, and obviously their hot laps, just how people are getting on. I mean, it's going to be good to see everybody get out there on the track, and we definitely got some new faces as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of new faces and a lot of new names I see on the grid, so it's going to be interesting to see how people get on. Right now we're in quali session with 9 minutes to go. We have an 18-minute quali session already halfway, so people are already out there putting in their laps. And then we have a 50% race for this preseason test. Oh, wow, Mercedes goes very wide in the back. But a 50% race to get started with preseason testing. There's no collisions, and the damage is actually turned off. And I think the reason for this is that we want to judge just a raw 50% pace of everybody, give everybody a fair chance. We don't want any collisions or, people breaking a front wing on lap 1, and, that can, ruin their chance of putting in a good showing. So the damage is turned off, the collisions are turned off, and people can just focus on themselves. So what do you think? Is that going to maybe, cause drivers to maybe drive differently, maybe approach this differently? Like, what do you think?
Definitely. I think we saw that in the silver class last night. If you didn't tune into that, there was a lot of chances where traditionally I would say that your front wing would have been damaged, but they were able to just push through each other without making contact, of course. Again, this is mostly just to test actual pace and not actually have that racing action quite yet. We just want to make sure to put everybody in the correct class that they should be in. But yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to seeing this new Mercedes out on track, which is actually what I'm watching right now. Bam Bam is actually entering the pit though, so he did not finish his lap.
Yeah, same with Segrist. I think all of the drivers have put in probably their first or second flying lap. So trying to go on board with somebody here's Axio, who is in the Alpha Tauri. Really cool livery. I'm kind of liking how the Toro Rosso kind of morphed into this really cool kind of navy blue and white livery. Gets quite wide on that curve there. You really don't want to hit that yellow sausage curb. Let's see how he takes this. But looking pretty good so far. If you want to ride on board with them and take us through the rest of the lap, Breezy.
So we just exited turn 9, coming into the flat out left to turn 10, and turn 11. Took it nearly flat in turn 6, in 6th gear. Let's see if you use sorry, you kind of caught me off guard. I may need to start at like a full lap, but he is entering the pit, so sorry about that. I was not quite ready.
I think everybody's just going into the pits. Got a Ferrari pulling off to the side there. That's Nelsie Baby, I think, just getting out of the way of Chargers, who seems to be starting a lap.
Chargers. Okay, coming into the flat left-hander in 7th gear. We'll see if he takes it flat. Takes it in 6th. Just going for the sweeping right uphill, using the exit curbing. Very nice. Coming into the slow speed chicane, misses the first, hits the second sausage curb, doesn't use the full exit, but comes in cleanly into turn 8, turn 9 through the S's. Got the flat left. See how it takes this. Nearly full. Coming into this turn 12, we'll see how much of the inside curb that he missed completely. So he lost time there. See got the first hairpin and the second hairpin to finish out the end of the track. So he's missing quite a bit of apex in both of these turns. There's definitely a lot of time to be made up there. We'll see what he comes across. He does actually increase his time, or not increase, but improve his time to a 14.6. So he did manage to make up some time, but there's definitely some time he could find missing a lot of apexes.
Yeah. Stream seems to be just a tad bit laggy, so apologies for that. Hopefully it does clean up a little bit. But right now Segrist is in P1 with a 14, I think that's a 14.1, I believe, if I can see correctly.
14.19, yes.
14.19. Nelsie Baby P2 with a 14.3, so just right behind Arrow Fist with a 14.5, Jones 14.6, so actually pretty close between the top 5 so far. Do you think they're going to be dipping into the 13s?
I most certainly think there's potential to. So the Golden class is racing with the racing line on. Platinum class managed to get a 13.8 on the board with no racing line. So I personally think they have full potential to make it into the 13s tonight.
Oh wow, Nelsie goes purple in Sector 2. And that Sector 2 is hard to hook up. I struggle there myself trying to get turn 6 and 7, 8, 9, 10, just a very flowing part of the track, and for me I always lose the back end. It's hard to get that right line just to keep that minimum speed up. But yeah, he goes P1 actually, and with the 14 dead, I believe, right? Or 14.16?
14.16, yes, he was able to improve his time and get on provisional pole for the Golden class testing race. It will be interesting if he can get back out and potentially put in another time. That may or may not have been his last go at it.
Here we are on board with Bam Bam, actually, with the black Mercedes. I love this livery. It's probably one of my favorites from Mercedes. They've always gone with the traditional silver, and this black is really nice to see. It's really sleek looking and looks pretty mean. He takes all that outside curb, and as you can see, it just almost loses it. So that outside curb going into turn 4, probably want to avoid that, just to avoid unsettling the car. But it looks like everybody's on these soft tires. I think we want everybody to start on the soft tires and for this 50% preseason test. But it's going to be up to the drivers to see if they do maybe like a soft medium strategy or a soft to hard strategy, kind of see what they want to do. This is also supposed to simulate a 50% race with strategy, so drivers can do whatever they want just as long as they start on that soft tire. Let's see, as Bam Bam did mess up his lap and did almost lose it there. On board now with...
Yes, and I can definitely agree with the Mercedes. It's a very clean looking car.
Yeah. It's one of my favorites. I'm hoping to be, possibly drive that this season for TCR, but yeah, we'll see. I know it's a very popular car, and a lot of drivers going to be.
Oh, you had it here, everybody. Here's the fight for the Mercedes in the Platinum class.
Absolutely, absolutely. He's staying quite tight, actually, to that turn 13, and as he actually goes into the pits. So probably abandoning.
I'm on board with Bam Bam. He is leaving Sector 1, heading into Sector 2. He did actually have to get out of the way of a little bit of traffic coming out of Turn 1, but he's looking pretty clean so far. Taking Turn 5 up the hill quite nicely. Goes into third gear. Very unorthodox. Coming in a slow speed chicane, looking clean. Still doesn't use the outside curb. A little bit of extra time there, extra traction. Using a lot of Turn 9 inside curb. Still haven't seen a purple sector from him, but we'll see if he's able to improve his lap time. Second gear for that extra rotation. Coming in turn 13, keeping it very nice, tidy. Rear end didn't step out. Let's see if he can hold it through the last turn and get a nice exit.
Very nice.
Onto the main straight. And he does improve to a 14.6.
Yeah, P4 just put himself right in between, or right in front of actually Jones and Chargers, who also set 14.6. So P3, 4, 5, and 6 are all just separated by just over a tenth of a second, which in this track is actually quite close. Jump on down to I don't even know how to say that. Pesaris? Pegasus, I don't know. Rex, let's call him Rex. Rex. Yes.
We're gonna go through this.
And the Williams going through the second sector, and he seems to be on a hot lap, so let's just kind of ride on board with him and see the different lines he's taking. So far, so good, though. Runs slightly wide there, doesn't validate.
And he just invalidate. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
We
do currently have strict rules. Yes, we do have strict rules on for this race. It's still up in the air right now. It's slightly controversial whether or not we'll be running regular or strict, just because of how trigger-happy this game currently is with strict. It's almost reminds me of time trial as far as how quick it will invalidate your lap times. So it will be interesting to see what the league decides to go with for the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And same TJ, he was at the silver tryouts last night. Didn't really have the best of nights and the best of times. He has a wheel and has some new settings tonight, so let's see how he does. Get on currently in P16, but not really with a true representative lap with a 146. So if he can keep this one clean, he should jump up the order quite a bit. So that'll be one to watch as well, as we got drivers crossing the line here. Let's actually go to Nelsie, who's currently P1. I'm going to see if he improves his time. Like as you said, maybe get into the 13s. No, he abandons.
He's entering the pit.
M9 is just starting his lap, so I want to see what he can do. As Lazo retires from the session, he's going to call it for quali. I think that's all he's got. But I'm surprised. Right. This quali is pretty close.
It is very close. The top 10 are all within a second.
Yeah, that's very impressive. Wow, that's a beautiful turn 4. You see that just right on the outside there. So far, so good. He's keeping it clean. A lot of drivers are not using that outside curb and taking full advantage of the track. That's an interesting line.
It does not invalidate. However, you lose a lot of time.
Lose a lot of time
coming out of.
And there's the invalidation, just running wide.
And invalidation.
Yeah, turn 10, I think. But I think he's the only one left, so let's...
So, to the viewers that might be listening in on what we're talking about, this little concrete strip, there's coming out of the slow speed chicane, turn 6, turn 7, if you exit on the outside, there is a small strip of concrete that you can gain amazing traction on. So it's on the outside of the actual curbing of the track. You can ride on that on the exit, have really good traction coming into turn 8, which is the first turn of the S's. And on the exit of turn 12, which is going into the last two, we'll call them hairpins of turn 13, turn 14, there is an exit curbing there as well that has this concrete strip. It's somewhat difficult to really pinpoint getting your tire on it, but if you do, you have really good traction. It allows you to extend the track a little bit without invalidating your lap. So that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. There was actually a video by Nico Rosberg who explained kind of the lines you want to take of Hungary. He posted that, I think, a few weeks ago, but actually did talk about using those little small concrete, little slim patches, as we can see on the entry there, the exit here in the Ferrari. But quali is over. I think all the drivers have put in their times. Again, very close, which just shows you how competitive TCR is. And this is only the Golden Class tryouts. You know, we have 3 classes. We have Platinum, Golden, and Silver. Platinum currently, it's a new rule for this season, for Season 10. No line and no assists. So first time we've ever done that. Golden Class, which is the class we're watching now, as drivers try out for that, is no assist, but you can use the racing line. Is that correct, Breezy?
For the Golden Class, yes. You can use the only assist, which is racing line.
Gotcha. And Silver Class, which you can use, I believe, ABS and traction control and also the line. So 3 different tiers of class, and here we have the second tier. But P1, Nelsie Baby, Segrist, and P2, and we missed the rest of it, but we'll get that on the formation lap, no worries. But yeah, close quali, and now we get to the race where it's, again, more of a test session for the drivers and just more of like a 50% time trial, if you want to put it that way. But here the drivers are putting in their strategies. Either the soft, medium, which about half the field I think would go for, or the soft, hard strategy. So we got a 1-stop versus a 2-stop, and that could also play into the average lap time. So at the very end of the session, either myself or Breezy will go into the race director and we'll catch everybody's lap times from lap 2 to the very end. And then we'll take an average of those lap times with the pit stop and the in lap and the pit stop not counted, just to take that as an outlier. And then we'll take the average and rank the drivers, and that'll determine or help determine what class the drivers will be placed in. We will also take into consideration the past history of the drivers in TCR. Obviously, new drivers, it's more of an impact for this 50% time trial here at Hungary this week, and we're moving to the Paul Ricard circuit next week in France. So 2 different types of circuits. But yeah, excited to see what the drivers can do. And as we wait, starting in about 25 seconds, and I think we have a full formation lap, so we'll go through the order during that time as well. But
yes. So I wanted to point out just a few extra details about this. So again, ghosting will be on. Drivers will ghost through each other if they would make contact. So keep that in mind. This isn't really about racing wheel to wheel at the moment. However, they can. That is an option, but it's not mandatory. There will be dirty air still. So if you are following another car, you do feel the dirty air regardless. So that does play into it quite a bit. Yeah, so I just wanted to point that out.
Awesome. But we got the starting grid. Let's just run through that. Nelsie Baby starting in P1, so really good quality for him. Segrist in P2. And again, sorry for the jumpy stream. Apologies for that. Hopefully it does clear up soon. But Segrist in P2. Arrows in P3. Chargers in P4. Bam Bam P5. Got Jones returning in P6, so he can put in a good showing as well. Axio in P7. D'Angelo in P8. M9H Racing P9. Red Wing Racing P10. Rex in P11. McLaren P1, P12. Gold Raider starting P13. Same TJ starting P14, so qualities didn't go quite so hot for him, but hopefully he can put in a better race pace. And P15 Lazo and P16 Ben Swerven. The drivers just making their way around for the start. So the lap 1 is going to be a little interesting with the current patch that we have. I think the race director does get kind of messed up, along with just puts all the drivers in weird order. So we'll wait until probably lap 2 to just announce what drivers are where. But hopefully a patch is coming from Cody's. Drivers making their way around to the starting grid. But Breezy, because you raced here last week in Platinum tryouts, what's the best plan in your opinion for the first few laps? Is it good to push on these soft tires because we know that they're not going to last? It's a really soft tire, so it's not very durable, but it is fast. But obviously the top 10 use the same tires they qualified with, so those tires are already worn a little bit.
So I would expect that most drivers are sitting around 11% or more tire wear, depending on how well they took care of their tires. So I suggest the 2-stop, but I don't want to interrupt the start.
That's all good. So we got the lights coming on. We have 5 lights, and the start of preseason test is now underway for Golden Class. Really good start. Let's try to get a better camera angle. My goodness.
Oh, Segrist. And Nelsie fell back. I think that might be a glitch, because I believe Nelsie is actually in first at the moment.
Yeah,
so
the timings are going to be all messed
glitching
up.
like this last time. Yeah.
But so far,
Nelsie's still in first, followed by Segrist, very closely behind.
Yep. All good so far, and that's obviously because of no collisions and no damage.
Exactly. Yeah. It seems like everybody's taking full advantage of the no collisions at the moment. Everybody's driving on top of each other. This will clear out a little bit here in the near future.
So far, so good through turns 6 and 7. And we got M9H falling back just a little bit, but holding his ground. Everybody seems quite behaved. Oh, and a McLaren is around. That's TJ. So rough start and reset to track. Want to be really careful of that. I know that's a rule that is not allowed in TCR, so I want to be careful with the reset to tracks. But got a Ferrari going on the grass there. People just trying to sort themselves out. It's quite difficult to race when you're kind of coasting in between everybody, and I think, again, like after a lap or two, we'll kind of just relax and drivers will kind of get into their zone,
Yeah. So currently, Segrist seems to be, per this, leading, which is not true. So it's still not fixed. So he's still leading, followed by Segrist, and then Aerofist Zen, following it up in third. Okay, so sorry about that. This is
pretty
all
confusing.
messed up. Well,
absolutely.
It'll eventually fix itself. It did the same thing in Platinum for the first couple laps. So
I think last night too in Silver, didn't it?
So we got our first penalty from M9 Racing, 3-second time penalty on lap 2.
Yeah, these
again,
track limits.
Just bringing up that talking point. Bringing up the talking point of strict. I predict if we did do strict racing, you could see people getting disqualified from a race.
You think so?
What do you think about that? It's a prediction of mine.
I mean, like, how many seconds of penalties do you need to be disqualified from a race? Is it 30 plus or 20, 25?
I'm not exactly sure. I don't know if anybody could put that information into the YouTube chat if anybody is viewing. But I've seen somebody get disqualified when they were in the 27-second zone. I don't know if it's an actual hard time penalty that you have to hit before you can be disqualified, or if it's a certain amount of corner cutting penalties you have to hit before it does that.
Right.
I've not quite tested that before, but
yeah, these track limits though in this game are pretty strict. Like, I've driven around Spa and Coda, Bahrain, and there's typical corners that real F1 drivers do extend slightly. Like, all 4 wheels are off the track or off past the white line, but they're still on the red and white curbs. We saw that in Austria, where they can run on those red and white curbs, but you cannot put yourself on the green part, the last corner of Austria, just to be exact. But it seems that this game is it's purely the white lines and does not include the curbs. So if we do regular corner cutting or strict, we're gonna have to, I think, mark those certain corners just like real F1 does with the pace car and say you can extend here, but if you extend here, you're going to get a penalty. And if you're caught extending and trying to get away with it, that could be pretty dire consequences.
So, already got some information from the BLIN-MACHINE in the chat saying he's seen the highest of 28 seconds. So maybe you're right. Maybe it is like a 30-second limit before you could possibly get disqualified from a race. So I occasionally would get 17 seconds in corner cuts just with the current situation. So I think it's possible depending on the track. So we do have a spin. McLaren P1 had a spin in turn 1 on the medium tire.
He started on the medium tire though, right? Let me pull up. I don't know what I'm doing here.
So if you're outside of the top 10, you're allowed to start on any tire that you choose, be that the hard, medium, or soft. But again, so you'll have the fresher tire. That's kind of the advantage of being outside of the top 10. However, you're outside of track position. In this case, not as detrimental. However, you still have to go through the pack and you still feel dirty air. So it is affecting your lap times to an extent. However, that would probably be the preferred strategy of medium to hard.
Yeah, I want to say that guy starting on the medium tire will go to the hard tire. But M9H Racing, he's the only soft runner kind of in between those medium runners. So he might want to try the undercut, just kind of get away and just be by himself and put in those time trial type laps to lower his average lap time.
So far, we don't have anybody coming in on lap 5. That's actually the lap that I pitted. I might have even pitted lap 4 from the softs to get on my first set of mediums. It's really not a difficult tire strategy to go to the 2-stop, soft, medium, medium. You really don't need to push any of the set of tires to a high tire wear. You can easily do 16 laps on the medium tire, and it's really not an issue. So I'm kind of surprised nobody's entered the pit yet. It might be one of those situations where everybody's trying the soft to hard strategy, or maybe just they feel like they're able to carry that pace through. So
absolutely, I think we'll start seeing people pit though, at least with soft runners, starting either at the end of this lap or at the end of lap 5. Right now, Nelsie Baby has about a 2.5 second gap, so he's obviously put in the practice for, trying to make golden. But let's see if he hits here. Coming around the last turn, and
so Nelsie in the pits.
Nelsie in the pits.
Nelsie in the pits. Bam Bam now takes position 1 going into lap 6, and I just want to point out that he is currently 4 positions up. Technically net, he's up 3 positions.
Yeah, absolutely. And
so
he was actually
showing a very good performance.
He was actually reaping the benefits of that DRS, and that brings up another good point for this preseason test, because if you're, like, let's say you're on the medium tire or the hard tire, and you're behind somebody that has like a softer tire. So if you're like a hard tire runner and you're behind somebody that has the medium tires on, well, you can stay in their slipstream, stay in their DRS, use a little bit maybe for overtake, and you can actually improve your average lap time by being on the slower tire, but still being behind that person and using DRS. So, there could be some sort of strategy that I think some drivers will maybe implore a little bit. But yeah, we'll see. But right now, as you said, Nelsie Baby went onto the medium tires, so I think he's probably going to go on a 2-stop. What do you think?
Yes, most definitely. There is no way possible that he could do a soft medium at this point. So I'm definitely seeing, we got Gold Raider that's on 0 laps on the mediums as well. Nelsie Baby is on the mediums with 0 laps. I would fully expect both of those two to be doing a 2-stop today.
Yeah, so we got Arrow coming in, Bam Bam coming in, and D'Angelo coming in. So 4 people, and also M9H Racing. Just need to get off those soft tires. Bam Bam's the only one, though, that's put on the hard tires. So a lot of 2-stop strategies today.
It will be very interesting for the viewers and for us to really pay attention to Bam Bam's lap times near the end of this.
Yeah.
The pit strategy going from soft to hard is a very difficult one. Those tires are going to be very iffy. He's going to be pushing 28 laps on those tires. That's going to be a lot. That's going to be a lot for those tires. I very much would assume that at the end he'll be pushing 70% tire wear. I know we don't have damage on in this race, so you're not really risking a puncture. However, the lap times do really start to fall off on the hard tire when you get to that high tire wear. And this is one of those tracks where I feel like the tire actual grip is going to give you a lot of that lap time that you're trying to get. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do with those tires near the end of the race.
Yeah, I'm also interested, riding on board with Bam Bam, but he's in that little group of four. So you got Bam Bam, McLaren P1, Aerofist, and same TJ who is not pit, as well as McLaren. But he's in this little grouping right here. So, compared to the medium runners, what's his pace? And as you said, towards the end of the race, it'll be really interesting to see kind of where he stands lap time wise. But so far so good, as Axio also goes on to the hard tire, and so does. Actually, that's just it. So Axio coming out of the pits right now, coming out behind Bam Bam and behind McLaren. So, but he's all good.
So
just needs to put in those laps.
Looks like the only soft runner right now, Jones, the McLaren, to not pit yet from the softs. Well, man, that's a bold move. So he potentially could be going for that soft to hard strategy, really trying to push the softs out as long as he can. He's got to be up there in tire wear, so he's got to be losing a lot of pace. But potentially just going to make sure that the hards will last to the end. So
yeah, absolutely. It's pretty packed here in the mid-pack. A lot of drivers pretty close. But some big hitters that have gained a lot of positions, and this is due to, I don't think, pitting yet, as Jones actually comes into the pits. So it'll be interesting to see what tires he puts on. But position change, got Gold Raider moving up 11 positions, Lazo 11, and also Ben Swervin 11. So I'm sure they're going to pit next lap, or the lap after, but they are on the medium tires, so they may try to extend.
Yeah.
Jones on the hard tire, interesting.
That makes sense for how many laps you put on the softs.
Yeah.
Again, the pit window for the softs really ranges from like lap 4 to lap 6. Any lap after that, you're really losing time on those tires. So it does seem like we do have a couple packs of cars going around the track right now. We got one small group at the front, which seems to be headed by Seacrest. And then another pack of cars right behind McLaren, where they're all in one big DRS grouping. Hopefully they don't mess each other up too much with the dirty air, is the only thing I'd be worried about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm on board with Jones, actually, just in this little mid-pack here. And just want to see... Yeah, you got Jones and Axio on the hard tire, so... And they're right in the mix with Chargers on the medium tire and D'Angelo on the medium tire. McLaren P1 still 8 laps going on the medium, so he can probably go another, I don't know, what, 4 or 5 laps, you think?
Ooh, we did just have a spin. Rex spun out. Sorry, what was the question? I was watching.
Oh, no, you're good. I was going to say, McLaren P1, medium tires, 8 laps in. Do you think he can go maybe 3 or 4 laps before pitting? Same with Ben Swervin and Lazo?
Yeah, the pit window for the medium tire, if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I would say around lap 13, lap 14 for the hard tire is an easy one-stop strategy for the medium to hard. So.
Gotcha. I'm riding on board with Ben Swervin here, and just looking at ERS, that's also another point to kind of talk about with that overtake button. That overtake button is quite attractive in like 5-lap open lobbies where you want to use it because it gives you such a big boost. I mean, that overtake button is absolutely insane, but it's a completely different story in a 50% race. Like, you can't use that overtake button, as Ben Swervin completely cuts the chicane there. Just could not stop the car in time and gets a 3-second penalty for his troubles. So, but you can't use that overtake button as much or as aggressive as you would in a 5-lap race. So I think this season for platinum, gold, and silver, you're gonna have to be very careful and strategic with how you use that button.
I fully agree with you. Yeah, it would seem that the difference between a 5-lap race and a 50-lap race as far as that overtake button is almost no different. If you burn ERS in a 50% race compared to a 5-lapper, it's roughly equivalent. You do not have a lot of ERS to play with. You can't use it very often. And as you were talking about, Ben was sitting around 2% ERS when you were saying that. So once you drop below 10%, if you don't know this actually
D'Angelo
drops your...
loses the rear end. Sorry to cut you off, but he loses the rear end coming out of turn 1. I think just got on the loud pedal a bit too much. So that's going to mess up this lap here. Just needs to kind of refocus in and just Be very careful on that throttle and brake. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's no problem. And, that points back to what I was talking about earlier. Like, a lot of these drivers are right on top of each other, and I don't think they realize, like, how much that dirty air can really mess up your consistency. And that's really what we're supposed to be looking at tonight, is your consistency in your lap times. It's not about where you finish so much. So, to be honest, they're kind of hurting themselves a little bit here. Like, and as you can see, the field is starting to finally spread out a little bit, but it took 11 laps to get to that point. So that potentially had a lot to do with why people are spinning out there. But again, back to the topic that I was talking about with the ERS. Once you drop below 10%, the game is constantly changing your ERS level, so it's fully automatic. You have no control of that. Once you drop below 10%, you've lost pace, and there's nothing you can do about it. You're a sitting duck, essentially. So people really have to pay attention to that. Using your ERS down to that point is not worth it. Yeah, not worth it at all. So
especially this early in the race too, and just a huge truly train behind Mr. Bam Bam, it seems, and Mr. Swervin here. He got Ben and Bam Bam just trading spots. Actually, the two Mercs, so fancy that. A little Bottas Hamilton-esque battle, but Axio is right behind, then Jones, Chargers, and D'Angelo, and then about 1.2 seconds behind is McLaren P1. So this huge train, as you just talked about, they're washing out in the front, and those front tires, especially if you're on the medium, they're just not going to last. And I think, gosh, that's a lot of cars there, but it might be better to, I don't know, find an open space on the racetrack, do you think?
Personally, that's kind of what I'd be doing if I was stuck in that pack of cars. But at the same time, I don't know, like, as a driver, as a racer, when I see a car in front of me, I'm gonna go for it. I mean, so it's difficult, but when you're in a pack of cars like that, and it's an evaluation race, you got to make that decision. Like, do you really want to sit there and try to pass a bunch of cars, or it might almost be better to take that early stop, even slap on the hards at this point, to get out of that pack of cars. Because, like I said, you're kind of hurting yourself sitting in that pack of cars, hitting that dirty air, not getting consistent lap times in. But at the same time, like you said, there is that DRS that they're getting, so I'm sure that's making up a few tenths.
Yeah, I mean, but this is a positive thing, though, I think, because if the pace is this close between, literally almost half the field, then I think that's just, we're in for a really good Season 10 for Golden and really for all the classes. I think the competition has grown closer, especially with this new game. It's a very different handling model, very different tire model. Personally, I'm a big fan of it. I really struggled on F1 2019, also 2018 as well, but this new game reminds me of F1 2012, F1 2013. I feel old saying that, but it's fun to drive. Like, it's the first time I've actually had fun driving an F1 game since 2012 and 2013.
I agree with you. The game physics have definitely improved in a lot of ways. There's still the controversial wheel to pad difference, mostly for the wheel just having the loss of traction on corner exits at slow speed is kind of the difficulty that I've seen that we have. And then on the pad, of course, they always have the traditional high-speed chicanes, things like that stop up the pad. However, there is the current controversy at the moment where the pad does seem to have the upper hand on the wheel in the current game. Prior to any patches that are changing any of the physics. So we'll see what Codemasters has to say about that in the future, but that's currently the way it's playing out. However, it does seem like a lot of the league has switched over to running Fanatec, which, if you didn't know, professional
affiliate sponsor, yes.
We are affiliated with Fanatec. So
yes.
I race with Fanatec.
As do I.
I would say 60-70% of the league races with Fanatec.
Yep.
It's a very good racing system, and I highly suggest it to anybody that's potentially getting in. You could jump into a G29 Logitech or a cheaper system like that just to see if that's something that you'd be interested in. But man, I would just go for it. Get that Fanatec. Treat yourself.
Absolutely. I think, like, what's your Fanatex setup? I'm just curious because I know we all have different types of Fanatex setups, or Thrustmaster, Logitech. But what's yours? I'm curious.
So I currently run a drive hub. The reason for the drive hub is actually because my wheelbase does not function with the PlayStation. The ecosystem for my V2.5 wheelbase is actually for the
Nice.
Xbox and PC only, but the drive hub allows any controller or system to be compatible with any system. However, there is always that risk of further down the road, will that be functional or not? I took that risk, and that's currently what I'm running with. So I've got that wheelbase with the 2019 Fanatec Formula wheel.
Ooh, fancy.
Or rim. So I got all the rotating buttons, everything works, functions, is great. It's even got some vibration motors on the inside of the handles. And I've upgraded the shifters to some magnetic shifters.
Ooh,
Quite
and
a cheap
who's
mod.
that? Ben Swervin's around last turn, and again using that reset to track, so got to be careful of that, bud. But I think just got a bit too wide on that exit curve, too much power, and again, like the ghosts and ghosting is maybe a bit distracting to some of these drivers. But going back to the Fanatec stuff, I think it's great, and I used to actually have a Logitech G29. That was my very first wheel and pedals, and I thought I was like, into the sim world and all that stuff, and then just recently, about 2-3 years ago, transferred over to Fanatec. I just was able to make that happen, and the change I felt, like how much more detail you got, through the tires, the curbs, and just the car's handling was incredible. But that F1 limited edition wheel, it's like that yellow and black one. It has all the knobs and dials with the rotary dials and all that stuff, but I run that with the CSL Elite wheelbase and then the Fanatec V3 pedals. But unlike you, I run the regular pedals. I'm kind of jealous though, because you run that inverted brake pedal, that inverted clutch, and to me, I really wanted that, but they were actually sold out at the time. But I do have that brake performance kit, which you can remove those like polyurethane inserts or something to make the brake pedal stiffer, which has actually helped me not become faster, but I'm more consistent with my braking. I don't lock up,
Right.
and I can use the same. It just feels better, you use more muscle memory rather than a distance to brake.
Ooh. So, sorry to interrupt. Ben Swervin actually just got a 5-second stop-go penalty for speeding into the pit lane. So again, this league does not run assists for the pit lane either. You have to brake. You have to get the speed down of your car prior to entering the pit, and he was not able to do that in time. So, just another penalty that we regularly deal with as league racers. That can really rack up those time penalties towards that possible disqualification I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
That hopefully never happens. But yeah, just talking about the pedals like you were talking about, yes, I do run the V3 inverted pedals as well. Personally, I think the V3s are just fine. It's a $100 upcharge for something that's not really necessary. However, in the future, when I do run a clutch-based drive, it'll be quite beneficial. But what I like most about my current V3 inverted pedals is the vibration motors that are behind the brake and gas pedal. That does work for some racing games, not F1 2020, unfortunately. So that is my current setup, and I enjoy it quite a bit.
Yeah, it definitely brings the immersion. And as we noticed that Seagrass got a 3-second penalty, just completely cut, I forgot what turn, I think turn 11, 12 or something. It was before that double hairpin of turn 13, 14. But he's behind Axio here, and tries to make a pass going straight through him, as we are ghosting and no damage, but I think he's driving actually quite well. I think Seagrass and Axio are having a nice little battle. Axio is actually on the hard tire, but the same amount of laps so far, but these boys are having a nice little tussle, and that's good to see. But yeah, Nelsie Baby is in P1, has about a 10-second gap over Aerofist, Bam Bam P3, and then we got the rest of the field falling in behind. But that top 3 seems to be in a league of their own. I mean, they're quite fast, or top 2 at least.
Right. Actually, I really want to point out Bam Bam right now. This guy got on the hard tire at what I would consider a somewhat early lap for that tire, and is actually managing to pass up some of the medium runners that are doing the two-stop. So definitely, I got some clapping going on for him right now.
Absolutely.
He's doing a really good job. That pace that he's pulling around there is quite good. Again, it'll really be interesting to see if he's able to manage that pace all the way to the end, as I see him locking up into turn 2 already. So he may or may not be having that loss of grip already starting to take into effect. He's pushing maybe lap 13 already, so maybe half the life of those tires. So.
Well, he's going to have to pull.
He's doing really good.
Pull Lewis Hamilton to keep those tires alive. I was just going to say he's driving that Merc, and he might be messaging Bono and saying, "These tires are dead, Bono. Get me off these tires." But he seems to be handling them just fine.
Yeah.
Red Bull going wide. So on my screen it says Rex down in P12 is on 28 lap old mediums, but we've only done 19 laps.
I do think there's some glitches, because I also saw Golderator 0 laps on the mediums all the way up till he pit, and so I was like, wait a second, Golderator is sitting P1 right now with 0 laps on his mediums. When did I see him pass Nelsie? That actually did not occur, and I did eventually see him pit for the hards, and it's still showing him as a 1 lap on hards. I don't know if that's actually correct.
Weird.
So.
Really, really weird.
However, I do want to point out Nelsie is in a league of his own.
Yeah, absolutely.
This guy needs to get in platinum. He needs to come join us.
Is he running no line?
He did actually participate in the platinum testing as well, I want to say, and he is doing insanely well out there.
Yeah, let's just ride on board.
He's already got a
for a little
10-second
bit.
gap.
Let's ride on board with him and kind of just see how he takes the next lap or two with his lines, braking, his consistency. But everything so far, it's very impressive, and little lockup there, but this game is a little auto lockup. Happens sometimes.
To be honest, as he comes into the pit, but to be honest, I think that the spectator view shows lockup sometimes when it actually doesn't show that to the driver. I've seen that happen a few times where I was actually on the stream during the platinum testing. I got to be in the chat room while racing to give that racer perspective, and as they were doing a lap of me and I was listening, which is quite a surreal experience, they were telling me that I was locking up into a few of the corners when I was like, I'm not locking up, and what are you talking about? Yeah. So I do think that the spectator view does show some lockups that may or may not actually be occurring. But you can usually tell if it's like a hard lockup where they miss the corner in those type of situations.
Yeah, absolutely. But those guys seem to be good for the end. They put on the medium tire, so now for them it's just another 14 laps of consistency, push, and try to improve that average lap time as best as they can.
Yep. What I'll be looking for is to see if they can possibly dip into the 16s or maybe even to the 17s on their last stint for those who did do the two-stop. So Nelsie, I believe, put in the fastest lap, which I'll look up, but I believe he put in a 17 already in the first stint.
Oh gosh, that's platinum pace, I think, right?
Yes. I believe in my second stint on the medium tire, I never actually got into the 17s. I was pushing, so I wasn't holding back, really. It wasn't until my third stint that I got a much better time, so.
For sure. Got the pink Mercedes, popular, or the controversial pink Mercedes, as put it lightly. McLaren P1 going slightly wide, but yeah, down in P14, so he's, I think, possibly on the bubble for, for gold. But a lot of people in front of him have not pit yet, so he should improve a few positions, I think. Yeah, we'll see where he comes out in. M9H Racing is pit, and he's put on the medium tire, so he's good to the end of the race. I think anybody who pits now is going to be good and should put on that medium tire.
So, I don't know if you're riding along with Nelsie right now, but he just put in his personal best first sector of a 27.5. he is going through. He's about to finish sector 2, so I want to see if he purples that sector. Does this 27.6? So per my calculations right now, he is looking to put another fastest lap. However, that is not a personal best. Second sector. We'll see if he can make it up in the third. He has a pretty good line through the last corner. We'll see if he's able to make that up.
Wow.
And he does a 17.6,
Wow.
so there you go. And that wasn't even a personal best, sector 2. So I think if he actually managed to save up some overtake and use overtake in a few opportune moments as he goes off the track.
Yeah, Rex is... yeah, I think Rex spun or something. I saw a yellow in sector 2, and I think Rex had spun around or something. It still shows 34 laps on those mediums, which is quite a feat, but obviously that is a glitch with Cody's. So I wonder how many laps he has on those mediums. I wonder.
Who is this you're talking about?
Rex down in P16.
I'll go take a look at his actual laps.
Gotcha. Got Bam Bam and Segrist actually on the back of Nelsie. You said Nelsie went off, right?
He went off the road, but he came back on. He just took an unnatural line out of turn 1. It didn't mess him up, though.
Gotcha. This battle
so
for the
podium. So it seemed that Rex has been on the mediums for 13 laps.
13, gotcha. Yeah, this battle here for P3, I mean, you have 5 cars nose to tail, and if this was an actual league race, this would be just amazing. I mean, the pace that these guys are running at, and so close and so consistent, is actually incredible. So kudos to these guys for keeping it clean, even though there's no collisions, but keeping that consistent pace. As Arrow sets the fastest lap of a 17.4.
17.4. Wow, that's some pace.
Yeah, absolutely. Good for him. He's 2 laps in on his second medium stint, so those tires are nice and fresh. Best to use them up. And just to keep those laps coming for the next 11 laps. 11 laps remaining in this race, or this 50% test session preseason. But yeah, overall, this test is going by quite fast, and I think just the nature of this game is it just feels faster than F1 2019. And I know when I first got the game, it was like, whoa, the corners are going by so fast, and it seems faster. I don't know about you.
Sorry for the response.
No, you're fine.
So yeah, the definitely through the high-speed corners, the responsiveness of the car is quite a bit better than last game. You just feel like you have more traction when you're not really setting the car up for more traction, or not traction. Sorry, I mean downforce. So almost the same downforce levels as last game, but yet you feel like you're running Monaco level downforce, if that makes sense. So definitely a lot better responsiveness.
Yeah, the car
also, just wanted to point out, as I was checking Nelsie's times, he still does not have a time penalty as well.
Wow. And that's going to play major benefit in an actual league race if we do strict corner cutting, or if we do regular, but no time penalties that can jump you 3-4 places at the end, especially if you look at, again, P3 to P8. Let's imagine that Arrow or D'Angelo doesn't have any penalties, but yet all the guys in front have 3 or 6 seconds of penalties. That can vault you from P8 immediately to P3. So I think this game it's going to test the skills of the drivers to keep the cars on the track, keep them within the white lines. But Nelsie Baby is class of the field today, and really showing why he deserves a spot in Golden, if not Platinum.
Honestly, I think he deserves a Platinum class. And I think that's a huge jump. So just from his last season, Nelsie Baby was Silver P5 coming out of the last season.
Wow.
That's such a huge jump in pace. I'm very impressed. And then we got Bam Bam, who actually in Season 9 managed to get a podium. He got 3rd place at Baku. So just seeing some of these drivers really making some either improvements or just showing some consistency and being on that off strategy hards for 18 laps and still managing to put better laps in than a lot of the guys on mediums. It's just very impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, as you said, very, very impressive. Got about 9 laps to go, and just a side note, Breezy, I sent you a message on Discord for the lap times on the race director, because we gotta catch all these guys' lap times, which, man, when I put these in, it's gonna be very, very close. I'm interested to see all the averages and stuff. But
I'll start doing that.
Go ahead and do it with about 3 laps to go. Make sure we just catch, try to catch as many laps as we can. Should be able to get all of them with 3 or 4 laps to go. Should be enough time, I think. But man, this race has flown by, and yeah, like this actually just makes me more excited for this weekend for Wheel F1. I think we're back at Silverstone for a doubleheader, and then off to Spain, I think. Can't remember, but it'll be nice to actually get F1 back. As you see, Segrist is pitting, actually. That's quite late, to be honest. Puts on the medium tire. Quite a big delay. Is that a 5-second stop-go penalty? Because he was stopped for quite a while.
Yeah, it's possible. Let me take a look through his penalties. No, I don't believe so.
Interesting. Oh wow, and it looks like the stream has actually cleared up quite a bit. It's extremely clear on my end, so hopefully for all you viewers here tonight for Golden Class preseason testing, for TCR, hopefully it's cleared up for you as well. This is what I was hoping for the whole race, and again, apologies for any of the lag or any of the jumpiness of the stream and possibly any blurriness. We did try a new way to stream tonight, trial by error, so we shall see. Oh, Racing Point goes massively wide, and hopefully there's, obviously no wing damage because damage is turned off, but McLaren P1 went off and did a little lawn mowing in his Racing Point. And yeah, picks up a M9H
As Botas
Racing.
would like to say.
Yeah.
Oh, and he crashed into the wall soon after.
I was gonna say, like, you
so
spin, those tires are gonna be overheated, and as you know, like going with that, because that's something that these drivers really struggle with.
That is definitely an issue that you have to pay attention to, especially on, say, like a soft tire or a medium tire. Hard tire, not so much, but you still do have to pay attention to your tires. Once you get over 104 degrees Celsius, of course, you really start to get a lot of slipperiness to the tires, and after a spin like he just had, you're probably sitting anywhere between 108 and 111 degrees Celsius, just to give some perspective into like why he was continuing to spin out there. So that is something that we as drivers in this game, to add some realism to this not so sim game, we do have to pay attention to the carcass temperature of the tires, also to the engine temperature, because the engine temperature, once it gets over 125 degrees C, we also take a loss in power. Not to the point where you're going to see an engine blow up and we be on the side of the road. However, it does play a part in your current overall speed going down a straight, maybe trying to make that pass. So
interesting. Yeah, that's good insight, especially for all these drivers going into Season 10 with those temps in mind. As you see a few drivers, and actually Ben Swerven is pitting as well, but Chargers and Red Wing Racing went into the pits and changed onto the soft tires. So they might be going for fastest lap, or the previous tires just were not holding up and they had to pit, 7 laps to go, and maybe they just want to keep that average lap time up, which is not a bad idea, to be honest. Ben Swerven also goes onto the soft tire as he's coming down the pit lane here, and again, apologies for the stream. But yeah, out in front, Nelsie Baby is extending that gap out to 8.7 seconds already, and he was only, I think, 2 or 3, just a few laps to go. So quite impressive from that guy, and again, Bam Bam P2, Axio P3, Jones making a really good showing, good comeback in P4. Arrows in P5, Gold Raider in P6, Chargers just passed D'Angelo for P7. He's on that soft tire, so He'll have that outright pace advantage as well, softer tire and fresh, compared to 21 laps on the medium. And I'm wondering if D'Angelo is going to go to the end on those mediums. But as I say that, he just pits. So
it seemed like a lot of the drivers are maybe going for that fastest lap on the soft tire.
yeah,
Very
absolutely.
interesting. Because I did check a few. There was a few drivers that were on like a medium to hard strategy that easily could have made it to the end that were pitting for the soft. So maybe just trying to get some knowledge on lap pace on every set of tires. Again, doesn't matter what position you end in. That's not really what we're looking for. So
Right.
I can understand.
Yep, most definitely. So we're at Hungary today, and obviously Platinum class preseason is tomorrow for technically week 2, because we did have a Platinum preseason test last Thursday, so tomorrow is week 2 of Hungary. And I'll actually be racing myself, so hope to take something from tonight and possibly use it for tomorrow, but yeah, it's gonna be a good one tomorrow. And then next week we actually go to France for the Paul Ricard circuit. So the two different types of circuit, where Hungaroring is more tight, technical, got to be very precise, and then going to Paul Ricard circuit in France, where it's much faster. The track is a lot wider, got that huge back straight into that chicane, and then another long straight into that very, very difficult Sector 3. For the life of me, I cannot get Sector 3 correct at Paul Ricard. There's many different lines you can take, and so that'll be really cool to see. I think with no collisions and no damage, drivers can really take their personal line that they want through Sector 3 next week. But I think, yeah, it's a good combination of tracks to definitely judge pace by.
I 100% agree with you. Just wanted to point out, Chargers did manage to get a 16.9 on the soft tires, taking the fastest lap. I want to say that's better or really close to my best medium lap during our testing session for Platinum.
Yeah, that's crazy
again,
lap.
for that lap, I was 100% pushing for, but still, so he has taken that fastest lap point. That doesn't matter. But yes, when talking about France, that will be interesting. So one other big aspect of this game that has changed is brake pressure. Last game, you couldn't run very high brake pressure without walking up. And it was a lot more about engine braking, being in the right gear at the right time, type situations, which is 100% France. France is all about trail braking, braking lightly, using engine braking to get you around certain corners. That's completely changed in this game. A lot of people are, as I say this, D'Angelo just ran a 16.6 on the soft tire, getting even faster. All right. Hats off to you, sir. Again, going back to France, that'll be a completely different driving style of this game. A track that I am very good at. I like it a lot. However, I don't have that engine braking. So, will you run 100% brake pressure there? Will you drop it down at just this track? It'll be interesting to see what people do, because if you're running 100% brake pressure in some of these very light braking corners, you could find yourself losing a lot of time. As well, not being able to use that engine braking, you could say perk, like last game. The third sector, for instance, coming into the last turn can be very deceiving, which I've found out myself from this game already.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's been very difficult. So it'll be interesting to see how people get on with that.
Yeah, for sure. 2 laps to go, or just over 2 laps to go. Yeah,
I'm running through the laps now.
Okay, awesome. And yeah, this is the time to put in your fastest lap for everybody. And as we have M9H racing, so 2 laps to go, and he's definitely going for that fastest lap, as there's a yellow in Sector 2 right at the turn 6-7 chicane. Quite a lot of drivers in that space there. I can't even find where they're at. Oh, here they are. Oh, they're all in a row here. But yeah, I got a plethora of different tires, different strategies tonight. If this was a real league race with collisions and damage, I think it would be definitely an interesting race. I'm not sure though if a lot of people would be pitting this late in the race to go on the soft tires, because track position is everything on this track, as we know from real life and from league races. You know, we got the DRS train on the front straight, got the dirty air in the corners. So I think strategies might have been just a tad bit different if this was, you know, say round 1, round 2, or, you know, any round in season 10. As Axio gets a really good run on Bam Bam, very impressive on those 25 lap old hard tires. So yeah, you did say that the guys going from soft to hards, you know, would manage to bring those hards to the very end, and I think it's paid off because those guys are running P3, 4, and 5, and as the AlphaTauri goes slightly wide, and gosh, this turn is so hard to get, which is turn 5. The camber just kind of falls away the second half of the corner. So you do want to take that corner and stay kind of tight inside, take a lot of speed, stay tight, wait until the second half of the corner, and then just nice and ease on the throttle to not let that back end slip out. As we've seen, I think it was McLaren or M9H spin out there a few laps to go, as M9H gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, something he does not want with 2 laps to go, which will, again, mess up that average lap time. So I think, you know, these longer races, you know, especially without the battling, just the time trial type of mentality, you know, might be getting to some of these guys. And Chargers, as we say, gets a 3-second time penalty. So it's very easy. Like, you know, once you get one penalty, for me, it just seems like they just start coming, and very hard to get. As a Ferrari, it's not Nelsie, it's M9H. Doing a little bit of donuts. I think he's celebrating prematurely here. But yeah, those tires are just, as he retires from the session, so his tires have obviously had enough, and yeah, I think he's really struggled with that overheating. But I think we're on the final lap here, as Nelsie is about to finish, and quite impressive, almost 12 seconds gap to Aerofist, both of them on the medium tire. But those guys have had a very successful preseason test today, and they can keep this up for next week. I think they will be in very good shape for a placement in Golden. Might even be Platinum for Nelsie Baby. We'll see. But crosses the line. P1 for Nelsie, and Aero is just rounding the last turn right now. So well done to him as well. Good solid drive from Aero. Axio crossing the line in P3 with Bam Bam actually jumps, and Axio down to P5. Interesting. I think those penalties had gotten Axio. Chargers crossing the line in P6, and Gold Raider P7. Solid drive, 18 lap old hard tire, so obviously did that one stop strategy. Seemed to work out pretty okay. Get jumped, I think, by Red Wing, who may have gotten fewer penalties than Chargers and Gold Raider. But got D'Angelo crossing the line in P9. Ben Swerven coming around turn 13, entering turn 14. Final corner for him. Solid showing. Well done. Lazo, P11, just misses out on the points by a few seconds. Actually, no, jumps into the points because of penalties by Ben Swerven. And as the rest of the field finishes.
Alright. I was managed. I did able to get everybody's lap times and penalties.
Excellent. Nice job.
So Bam Bam was able to hold it to the end. I wonder if we asked him how much tire wear he had at the end there. Do you want me to go ahead and invite the top 3?
Yeah, go ahead and do that. We'll get the top 3 in and ask him about the tires and the strategy and how they felt for that. That's interesting. I've never seen a selfie before on the podium. You know, something I'm curious about is that whenever they like take that champagne bottle and just slam it on the ground to get it to start spraying, doesn't that like break the champagne bottle? You would think, right?
Potentially, but I think it's some pretty thick glass that they're dealing with there. So
I guess, yeah.
I would hope that for about $2,000 a bottle of champagne, it would be a little resilient to a little
hold together,
smacking on the bottom.
Yeah. But there you guys
So
go.
I may actually need your help in inviting in the top 3.
Gotcha. See what I can do, but I mean, if we even just get Bam Bam in here, or just Nelsie Baby, I think that'll be okay. To get a driver's perspective. Can you invite? Do you have Nelsie Baby on your list?
I do have Nelsie, I just don't have the other 2.
Gotcha. Go ahead and invite Nelsie. We'll get him in here and ask him a question or 2.
Okay. So, when you were watching the stream, what was your favorite helmet? Did you look at it? Putting you on the spot.
I may have missed some of the helmets. What was your favorite? I can redirect the question towards you and ask you what your favorite helmet was.
Okay. Well, since you put me on the spot, I actually really enjoyed Nelsie's. He had a nice tiger stripe with purple and green on it.
Yes, that was the one. That was my favorite.
Really nice compromise.
Absolutely. That was my favorite.
Also, just shout out to M9 rocking what I believe to be an American flag helmet.
Ooh, that was my second favorite. Yes, because of American flag.
Wow, it's weird that you have the same exacts as me.
Oh, it's so weird. Yeah, it's just
funny, interesting. What a coincidence.
I know.
Well, it would seem that Nelsie was able to make it in. Can you hear us, Nelsie?
Yep, loud and clear.
Hey, Nelsie.
What's up?
Dude, what a drive. My God. That pace you were putting in was absolutely incredible. Got P1, qualified, I think, P1. Is that correct? I remember.
Yeah, I got pole.
Yeah, but dude, your pace was awesome and consistency was there. I think I only ran off the track once, but how do you feel?
I feel pretty good and confident that I have a spot in gold.
Yeah, absolutely. I think.
Would you?
Dude, you should try for
platinum.
Would you like
the potential to go to platinum?
What?
That was my biggest question.
Yeah, like the opportunity to go to platinum, because if you turn off that line and keep that pace, that's very impressive.
I mean, I could give it a shot.
Absolutely, why not? Breezy, you got anything?
So first of all, I would like to congratulate you on your helmet. That is my favorite helmet of the day. I really liked the tiger stripe design. Just wanted to point that out.
Thanks.
Also, I wanted to point out your pace. Your pace was quite insane, and you had no penalties. How can you do that? That is insane.
I don't know. I'm just really smooth on my controller and just keep in the lines. And this is actually one of the easiest tracks for me to not get a penalty.
Oh. Wow.
What's your hardest track to get a penalty? Let me rephrase my question.
It's a good question, actually. I don't know.
Well, if you don't know, were you listening to smooth jazz as you were carefully making your way around Hungary for those 35 laps? Because, man, you had some of the most consistent pace that I saw. Really pretty good lines, might I add, as well. And very little warnings. I think the last time I checked as I was going through, I think you were sitting at 2 warnings. And that was sitting at like near the end of the race, so I'm not quite sure if you made it to the end with no penalties, but I want to say even my best performance is like 12 seconds of penalties at this track. So
Wow.
Very impressive. I just wanted to point that out. But
yeah, well done. You got France next week, so how do you think you'll get on at the Paul Ricard circuit?
Actually, Paul Ricard is one of my top 3 tracks in this game. So I think I should be well, and I should be on the pace there too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think some people got to watch out for you. Whatever class you make, I think will be a threat for the championship. But yeah, well done, and we'll see you next week at France. Congrats.
All right, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Yep. Take it easy.
You too.
Well, I mean, that was a good preseason test. That was pretty close times-wise, and I think it'll be even closer next week at Paul Ricard. I think that track offers really close racing as we saw last year or last season with Platinum and Golden and Silver. You excited for next week, Breezy?
As it's also one of my favorite tracks. Yes, yes, I am. Since it's no longer confirmed that France will be on our racing calendar for this season, yes, I will be taking part as kind of my tribute to that track for this racing season. So, yes, I'm looking forward to it. I love the high speed, carrying tons of speed into some of the corners, and it's over-exaggerated in this game how much speed you can carry in. So, I'm very excited about it. I love that track. It's a little trickier, like I was talking about earlier with the brake pressures and really like how I'm going to make some of these corners. Like, is trail braking going to be an option, or are you still going to be able to engine brake a little bit into some of these corners to make up that time? It'll be tricky. It'll be tricky. You really can't use the engine braking quite as much as you could last game. So, yeah. I'm sure I'll finagle away through making up some good pace at that track. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoy that track. So I'm looking forward to it.
Nice. That's actually one of my least favorite tracks. So I'm not looking forward to it, but obviously you got to do it, and I'm looking forward to trying to put in a good showing and whatnot. But yeah, overall it was a good test tonight. But everybody, thank you so much for watching. Again, we have the Platinum class preseason testing tomorrow night at 8:15 Eastern, and that is also around Hungary. That is week 2 for Platinum. And then next week we travel over to Paul Ricard in France. Tuesday we have the Silver class preseason test. Then Wednesday again we have Golden, and then Thursday would be the last night of preseason with the Platinum class. And then the Season 10, which is to be iconic. The schedules have been out, so check out the Twitter, check out Facebook, join our Discord, Trinity Competitive Racing. Again, a lot of our drivers have Fanatec, and we love having Fanatec as our affiliate sponsor. So again, thank you to Fanatec for sponsoring us. But it's been a good one, and we will see everybody next time. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.